The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I guess we have folks tuning in Eastern Europe right now. Looking at you, Andre. Welcome to the very last live Fantasy NBA Today of the 2018-2019 NBA season. I am Dapper Dan, and I'm joined this morning by Amicable Aaron. I told you I was going to call you that on the show. Good morning, Amicable Aaron.
I'm so amiable. Or is it amicable? Amiable?
I think it's both.
I'm both. Yeah, whatever goes, Dan. You're in charge.
Nah.
Just let me know what I got to do.
What do you got to do? What do we have to do today? We got nothing to do today on the show, which is great.
So there's some people still setting some lineups. So that's all good and fun because, it's this time of year, silly season, all that. I'm just watching a lot of my lineups. I'm actually obsessing, and I've made new spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I know it.
You can kind of measure the degenerateness by what kind of spreadsheet did you create to track the results of your league that there's really no reason to track. You're just going to get to the end and find out anyway who wins.
That's true. It's a weekly league for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's done. Pencils are down. So I've created this tracking tool, is basically projecting out standings, and I'm going through and I'm like, this guy's probably going to play like 1.5 games, and projecting out the stats. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't know, maybe it's more like a fuller experience of this last week in this particular league, which is a big money. It's a big prize, 10 grand's on the line. Right now, it's 79 to 78 to 76, and I'll tell you, 76. That guy with those roto points looks like he could actually get us both, and it's up in the air. I don't know about my path. The Jonas Valanciunas injury, it was such a nothing injury, and that's kind of how it goes at this time of the year. Was kind of the key to my strategy, and the opponents loaded up on rebounds, knowing that was my key. And it was a tit for tat. He changed his lineup at the last 30 minutes before lineup deadline, like I knew he would. It's actually a two-man team. There's two of them.
There's two of them. They're
two brains.
They're either messing with you, or each one of them wants a different lineup, and they're actually messing with each other.
Yeah, no, they're good. They've been competitive in this league, and I've always wondered, like, man, if I had a second person, like, how would this go?
I don't want to discuss my decisions with someone else. I don't want to be beholden to someone else's, like, Dan told you so, shouldn't have started Devontae Graham or whatever weirdo you're popping in there. It seems like one of you guys could use a little sweet Jakar Sampson if you're hunting rebounds right now,
huh? But the pencils are down. I
know.
You talk about like the chaos of that. I actually like it. I think like the thought process of this last waiver run and the last lineup deadline it was like everything you want fantasy to be. You were just really trying to figure out, okay, should I bench this, stud that may or may not play? I ended up benching Mikal Bridges, and now, Devin Booker goes down. So what's going to go on there? Middleton played last night. You just can't take the risk of a zero. So there's a lot of stuff that went into these last decisions. So I'm excited. I love playing for the big money championship in the last day of the year. If I don't get it, great. But, it's fun to be competing.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Good, sir. Yeah, it's this. That's a lot of coin on the line. That's more than my digestive system could handle. As everybody that listens to this show knows, if there's even a tiny bit on the line, it's like that's doubled over in paying Dan, just waiting it out. And now I'm cooling, man. Outside of the personal, like the fact that my kid is finally healthy for the first time in like 9 days, I'm cooling, man. I got these roto leagues where there's like a 2% chance I could move up one slot. So I'm still making my moves. I'm still grinding it out. But things look pretty locked in for me. I think I'm going to get a nice little chunk for a second place spot in one league. I think I'm going to get a very small chunk for a third place finish in a keeper league where my keepers were not good because I won it last year, so I kind of mortgaged everything. It was the first year we went to keeper, and I thought, well, I mean, everybody else is going to be doing something stupid like loading up on young guys. I got a runway, baby. I'm going to go take everyone's money. You never know when people are going to quit, right? Like, this league could dissolve in 4 years. You got to get your money while you can. So anyway, I feel like third was actually pretty good considering my keepers were Torian Prince and someone else. He didn't do a whole lot. So good morning to you, by the way. Did we start the traditional start of the day? Good morning. Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today.
Did we even start the show? I don't know, Dan.
I don't know.
I'm just amiable Aaron. I'm just sitting here chilling.
I really do think it's both. I think both work. I feel like I need to look this up.
Is it amiable and amicable? Yeah, sorry, I changed it on you. It's amicable.
Amicable, having a spirit of friendliness. See, so that works. And amiable, having a friendly.
Those up, or is that coming straight from the brain of Dan?
That is coming from dictionary.com. Amiable, having or displaying a friendly and pleasant manner. So it's both. It's both. We're good.
I'm cool with either one, Dan.
You get $10 this morning because that's a pair of $5 words.
Those aren't $5 words. Come on.
Those are, what, $3.50?
Yeah. We'll go $2.50.
$2.50. It reminds me of that old South Park episode. You know what the Loch Ness Monster said? About $3.50. That's an old one. Somebody's got to go watch. I'm sure someone listening or watching the show has seen that very old South Park episode. So this is Fantasy NBA Today. It's the last live show of 2018-2019. Brew, you and I will have some recorded shows spotty over the next few months as we hit off-season time. I think we'll probably do a season in review recorded show at some point in the next week or two. And then it's time for me to let you really focus on big picture stuff. And so I'll put you on the spot here right out of the chute. What do you got brewing, simmering on that amiable brain of yours as we head into the offseason? I know you're thinking about your projection sheet, and I want to talk about that too, by the way. But what sort
you
of
want to talk
ideas
about
you
my
got?
projection sheet?
I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about what you got kicking around in that noggin of yours.
Okay, okay. The projection sheet is... I guess I'll wait and let you ask me about it.
No, fire away on it, because it was built on the husk of like this really remedial Excel that I put together, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got a little weird with it. Not weird, but I put some muscle into it, and it just kind of calculates the projections, and it's similar to what we've got going on with some of the tools we already have. This was just for me, my league, and it looks great.
So let me ask you this.
It's a total degenerate activity, it looks great.
I have an important question on how you built the projection sheet. So those of you that are watching and listening in, you may have seen I put my little very bargain basement-y projection Excel on Hoopball, and I tweeted it out. So if people wanted it, they could use it. The problem with mine, and I don't know if you found a way to solve this tool, explaining once again, takes a player's expected performance, and then you plug in how many games basically you expect them to play the rest of the way, and it gives you totals, and it's been very helpful. I don't think I would have won my head-to-head league without it, because by doing that, I was able to see that my opponent was actually far weaker in rebounds than it looked like on paper. Because if I just looked at his team and I saw Karl Anthony Towns, Clint Capella, Nick Vucevic for finals week, I would have thought immediately, oh, I got no shot in this category because I've got Jonas Valanciunas and Bobby Portis as my leading rebounders. I'm going to get steam trained. But if you look a little closer, you realize that Cat only had 3 games. Capella only had 3 games. Vooch did have 4, so that was going to be one that kind of kicked you in the you-know-whats. But the rest of his team, actually, all of the guys he had that had 4 games finals week were guys that averaged 3.5 rebounds a game. So there was this big weight shift where the big rebounders all only had 3 games except Vooch, and the little rebounders all had big games. So I thought, okay, I actually have a weird inside straight kind of here. If I pick up the right 2 guys, I could win rebounds, and he'd never see it coming because I don't think I won rebounds more than twice all year. The problem with my sheet, and maybe you solved this, Brew, I had to go through, and I plugged in every single player's averages one by one. That was a little bit of a grind.
No, I did that, but you have to do that at this time of year because I mean, if you just went with a blanket standard, some arbitrary amount of games, on a look back, look at the last month, look at the last 2 months, whatever it might be. It doesn't tell you what's going on right this minute, so that having that sort of, and that's the background of everything we do with the blurbs here is really trying to hone in. Okay, that's great that this has been a top 40 player over the last 2 months, but like, what is he now? So we can actually sort of work into that valuation by using a couple common sense tools. So doing that manually, I don't know that there's any way around that. I mean, sure, there's some modeling that we can put together, and that's part of the future here at Hoopball is really aggressive modeling that, can kind of do this heavy lifting for folks. But no, when the money's on the line, you just want to know what your number is. Like, let's take Andre Drummond, for example. He's without Blake Griffin right now.
He's a monster lately. Just a monster.
And he's kicking my dreams to the curb.
Oh, he's not on your he's on the other team. Oh dear.
But but what projecting all of this stuff out had allowed me to do with my decision making was try to figure, okay, like we're all hot and heavy over the threes and the rebounds in this league. I mean, this is where the fight's at. Do I point everything I got towards that? And then you look over at the assist category and you go, okay, I got this freaking 7th place team with all point guards on it, that's climbing and could get me. And I'm seeing like, there's a margin of about 10 assists that's going to be, deciding that category for me. So if I have any chance of winning, I can't lose in the assists. So it informed me that I couldn't just ditch out on my assist producers. So, I had to make tougher decisions with some guys. I in this case played a Spencer Dinwiddie, even though he's not producing in assists, right now currently, just because he has the potential to get assists as well as 3-point shots, which I need. So, I mean, I spent a good 48 hours straight.
I was going to say, I don't think you slept in there.
Yeah. I did take breaks for the bathroom. It wasn't.
No, come on. You got a catheter.
Leonardo DiCaprio in whatever that movie about Howard Hughes was, The Aviator.
You got to catheterize yourself at that desk, man. There's no time to walk to the toilet and back.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but it sounds painful.
It is.
Yeah. Yeehaw. The next level of hoopball is when we teach you all how to do that.
Yeah, that's hoopball.
You're asking me what's on the radar for hoopball?
Yeah.
Catheterizing.
Yeah, we're gonna teach you. Do you want to? I mean, that actually bodes well for you, Brew. Have you never had to go under for a surgery in your life?
No,
that's great.
I haven't.
That's wonderful news.
I mean, but I've had an IV before.
So
I got really sick. I had an IV. Is that what you're talking about?
Picture that, but in your what's the word you can use that's not going to get censored on this? In your penis. I think that's a medical term.
We're 12 years old.
Yeah, catheterizing is when you actually hook up a bag.
I'm not laughing at the content so much as like I think that is a word that will get you bleeped on YouTube or whatever.
Really? PENIS is a censorable word? That's a medical term, man.
Maybe
what could I have called it?
Like penis?
Yeah. Well, panis is actually a different thing. I didn't know that until my wife went to med school. The panis is it's referred to as the fupa in a more common sense. It's sort of the layer of extra skin at the base of your stomach and like upper front that hangs down. That's the panis. That's a different thing, believe it or not. I thought that was kind of fun. So anyway, next time you're making your projection seat, Brew, looping back to our topic here, you need to attach a bag to yourself so you don't have to get up to pee.
Yeah, no, so I spent a lot of time on it. And it was like I will say this, every second of time that I spent in that planning process was absolutely necessary because the especially when you introduced a waiver wire concept, there was a Sunday waiver wire run and then it was a Monday lineup decision. So not only did you not know how it was going to shake out on the waiver wire, with a fab budget as well. Then once the players, you could see who went for who. So guys like Bruno Caboclo, threes and rebounds, he was a big pickup. Luke Cornett, I was like, please nobody take Luke Cornett. And then, people with more money took Luke Cornett. So then you're like, okay, now I kind of know what this team is going for. And in the first place team in that league, did all sorts of crazy stuff, ended up benching Bradley Beal.
Oh my, what in this? That's Matt.
I still don't understand that, but like so you didn't like when he made the first place he made the rebounds play, then I knew, okay, this is serious. Like I have to, in order to pass him, I got to beat him in rebounds. So
and that's a tough. Yeah,
that,
and he knew.
It's like that. I was sitting there. I was like, can I avoid doing this? Can I try some other strategy? It was like, no. He's gearing up on rebounds, even at the expense of his own best interests. And I'm going to have to follow him down that road. So it informed a lot of different decisions that I made. And, I'm excited to kind of pivot what you were talking about before, which was what's going on here with Hoopball.
Yeah, what's kicking around in that noggin of yours?
So we're building the back end of the database out right now.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I know a little bit about this side. So tell the listeners what that means.
So we have a great programmer. His name's Thomas Sirio. He's been doing all sorts of stuff for the site. And so we're just building this thing out so we can sort of, have an idea, have a model that we like, whatever it might be, and then bring it to production in a way that we might use it as fantasy owners, which obviously is what you guys are looking for out there. So we've been spending a lot of time with that. There's a lot of technical planning. I've been learning a ton as a product manager, getting something from, say, like point A to point B in the technical world, the way that developers, that they work. And so I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out, that side of the process. I do believe we're working within best practices within the development environment, and we're actually calling on developers now to join us.
Yeah, Chris, we're gonna get you, baby. Don't worry.
I saw the second email and I appreciated that, Chris. We just have so many things we're going through. We've been revamping sort of the content side. We had a lot of great recruits join us. As we gear up to take another step forward on that side, a lot of great work being done by Panda, Eric Ong.
Are we still hunting recruits, or are we paused right now?
We got so many that we're kind of paused right now. Send us your stuff though, but what we've done is we've essentially waitlisted people, and that's kind of how I got into the industry. I didn't hear back actually, from NBC for like a full year. So I spent that year blogging and getting better at my craft, and I got an email back and it was like, oh, hey, this is in play now. So you never know with this stuff. I think it's a contact sport. You got to get out there and get your stuff out there. And so send it on in, go to support at hoop-ball.com. And I think you could also go Team Hoopball.
Or just hit us up on Twitter. That's also doable too. We can get in touch with you that way.
So I mean, it's just it's a lot of technical stuff going on right now. The roadmap is exciting because having a back end database that we can essentially just tell what to do is a big piece of a growing platform. Looking to expand into team coverage this summer. It's something we've sort of kind of been very picky about what we do, and just wanted to get our feet in the water at the same time. I think as a site, we're ready for that. So I'm excited about that aspect of it.
Nice.
Your division is going exceedingly well as usual, Dan. So hat tip to you. Love the guys on Fantasy NBA tonight. The crew, I was looking at the box score breakdown last night with Adrian and Neil and Brandon.
That's right. We got a trifecta.
Yeah. I was sitting there going, damn, that's unheard of.
You know what these guys did? I don't know if I told you the story. I'll tell everybody the story. I don't know if they've told everyone the story, but I feel like it's worth it to know how badly we want to make sure you guys get your information. By the way, folks, this is going to be not a super fantasy-heavy show today. You've been warned. This is the last live show. We're having some fun. This is what's going on now. So the whole process was kind of shoehorned in because Adrian and Neil did like 90% of the show together at about 8 o'clock Pacific time when all of the Eastern and Central time games are done. So that's like usually a good 70 to 80% of the games on any given night, sometimes more. Adrian has his kids' bedtime right around the time the West Coast games are finishing. So the only way to get this thing done was to actually, for a while, have Neil do the last 2 or 3 games on the card solo. So they go together for like 35 minutes of the show. Neil could do the last little bit. They could edit, they could splice it together, get that bad boy out within 5 minutes of the games being done. This is how we drew up our efficiency scale. Well, Neil now has early morning work, and so we've added extra bodies. My good buddy Brandon, who's been on the nightly show, gets to get in there, get his feet wet on one of these more broadly distributed podcasts, and what it does is it's actually creating, and this is what's kicking around in my noggin, new show ideas for next year, because we got more bodies ready to go on that podcast side. Timing-wise, we're going to make sure everything works out depending on where people are. Time zones in the country, it makes things easier, or even across the globe. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's what they've been going through to make sure that thing's out by like 10:45 p.m. Pacific time every night. So kudos to our BSB guys. They've gone the extra mile for sure.
Yeah, and it's really when you talk about an audio component or an audio video component, however you want to look at that, it's basically the same thing these days. Having this sort of box score intensive quick reaction to what just happened. I know, especially when I was building out Hoopball early on, listen to Josh Lloyd's show, and it gave me what I needed in kind of the way that I needed it at that given point in time. And it was perfect. So, there's people out there that really works for, so you just got to have it. And to have those three guys and our other guys in the premium channels taking your questions live, answering them, I feel like we've got every angle covered on this. It's like, if you like your written content, you go to the blurbs. I think the blurb feed is as good as any other blurb feed that's out there right now.
The best. The best. No question. No question. The best.
It's just, Panda, Eric, the guys, they're killing it. And
it's the fastest too. It's the fastest.
Speed is important. And, so those guys are getting it done. And then you got the audio video side coming in, and you got the interactive side for the premium members, which really just like what you want is, I think, a competitive fantasy owner that's trying to win leagues. That's, you're not just kind of like, I'm just playing, whatever. Like you want not somebody to tell you what to do. Right. I mean, that's nice if you didn't pay attention for whatever reason. You want somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, show you how to do it, basically. Show you what you can then do on your own. This was always my thought with when I worked at Pregame as a sports handicapper. The podcast that I started there was the first one ever in the gambling industry that was not a sales podcast. It was a handicapping podcast. So I had people on that said, this is how I got to my conclusion on this game. This is how you could do it yourself if you don't want to buy picks. P.S. at the end of the show, P.S. we're still selling picks. You can buy them if you want to, but this is how you do it by yourself if you have the time, if you want to try to pick that up. And I think that's what we're trying to do here at Hoopball as well. Hey, stay on our blurb feed. We're going to follow the news better than you can because we've got eyes on the Twitter world at all times. But if you want to learn how to do this yourself, if you want to learn how to make the moves, that's what these shows are teaching you how to do. How to read a box score, how to read the news, how to understand teams' narratives and things along that line. And also hopefully have a little bit of fun along the way.
Yeah, fun is good.
Yeah.
And I think
that's a
that's
Dr.
the
Seuss
other
line, by
thing
the way.
about the group here is everybody's having fun. It's just a great group of guys. I mean, come on. We went from I was at, maybe 6, 7, 8 contributors at NBC, working on the fantasy project. We never got to talk with each other. It was, just kind of corporate America. Now we got 50, maybe even 60 contributors working on a project, all because it's a passion for us. Everybody's communicating. Everybody's happy. It's just this extremely fun. I'm a part of this process. It's bigger than me, though. It's like beyond anything I could have ever imagined, having this many people working on this stuff in the way that they do. I mean, I got to chef stuff last night.
Oh, I love the chef. I know he's not the chef. He's just chef, but he's so good.
Yeah, he's got the fantasy world on a string, so he can write and he can entertain you, but I'm more worried that he's going to beat me in a fantasy league because he's that good at it.
Let the disciple become the teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually somebody's going to get out. I mean, it's not happening yet. So all y'all, don't poke the bear here, but eventually somebody's going to be better than me. No, that sounds terrible.
Hey-o.
So eventually, there will be somebody who has that, that they're gonna be that good because eventually I'm gonna not be able to pour 3-4 months, into a Bruski 150.
Yeah.
And right now I can outwork people because I've got the time and whatever we'll call it talent, but it's basically experience with having done this. The tools is actually the better word there. That I can leverage in doing these rankings, and I watch enough film and kind of, doing this for 10 years, you could do that. Somebody else is going to come up there and he's going to beat me, and I'll tip my hat, and we'll just have multiple weapons, that we can put out there.
Yep.
I
love it.
To win these things.
You said fun is good a few minutes ago. I should note that's a Dr. Seuss quote. And so points to anybody listening. We did this on Twitter a couple days ago. Points to anybody listening who knows what book the following quote comes from. If you never did, you should. These things are fun, and fun is good. That's how we feel about fantasy basketball here at the Hoob. So from a fantasy perspective, and I mean, I guess we should probably talk a little bit about that. We're hard now into silly season because just this morning we've had, let's see here, I've got a whole list ready to go. Mario Hezonja is now the point guard for the New York Knicks because Emmanuel Mudiay is out and Frank Ntilikina is out and Dennis Smith Jr. is out.
You don't know how good a news that is, by the way, that Mudiay is out.
Oh, he's on your opponent's team?
He's on like the 7th place team with all the assists.
That's coming for
chasing me down. I have nightmares about this stuff, Dan.
Oh, yeah. I got weird, different nightmares these days. Also, we had Kent Bazemore ruled out. Kevin Huerter also ruled out. Jaylen Brown ruled out. Joakim Noah, doubtful? No, he's out. Mike Conley, out. The day's just getting started, Brew. The Grizzlies just signed Tyler Zeller for the rest of the season, which in January, you just take that and you'd put it on your thumb and you'd flick it into the sun. But right now you're thinking, I don't know, maybe Tyler Zeller plays 27 minutes the rest of the way. Anything can happen. With that in mind, how good have Walt Lemon and Jakar Sampson been?
Well, first of all, Sampson always has a special place in my heart because just his mere presence reminded me of the great line, I want to talk to Sampson.
I want to talk to Sampson.
From the great Oscar award-winning movie Half-Baked.
So good.
Which is a great movie. It really is. But when we were in college, we just didn't think it depicted the reality of the situation quite as well as it should have.
Doctor says I need a backiotomy. That's the line I always remember from that sequence.
I've developed a snort when I laugh now, Dan, and it's terrible and it's killing me.
It's adorable. I don't know what you're talking about.
I remember the moment it happened.
You're cute as a button, Brew.
Okay, but I can do this. So Sampson, and that team won the prize. It won the prize, Dan. $10,000.
Ooh.
I want to talk to Sampson. So a special place in my heart for Jakar Sampson and Lemon.
You using him?
He's, and you guys poked the bear by not letting me win the fantasy contest the other day, or all year, I should say. And I put Lemon in my lineup. And I got 6th. But
You
6
did.
pays, man.
Yeah.
6 pays.
Dude, don't even get me
gave me a
started.
little bit of trash talking to rights to Millman, who won both 1st and 2nd place.
Oh my!
And he gets the coffee
and the T-shirt, the coffee and a T-shirt.
I was going to say if I finished 2nd that I was tanking to get the coffee.
You have that.
I need some coffee, Glenn. We're running a little low here.
Do you finish your box? Do you have it on next to your table right now?
I do. But you know what?
Yeah, I'm seeing Brew reach over.
We're down to the display box, Glenn.
That's just.
There's stuff in here, but we're down to the box, and we need some more.
We gotta load Brew up at this point.
But no, it's Lemon is. The Bulls are a perfect silly season team right now. They have nothing to play for except for losses, and these guys, Harrison. Built for the silly season, said that last week. Hopefully you guys got on that. That's what this is about, man.
So silly.
I think it's great when you're in a roto situation. I can't even imagine it in a head-to-head right now.
Oh, brutal.
If your league ends this week. I know we got 30 deep. Yeah, there's going to be some talk in 30 deep about rule changes. And, of course, that's going to go just so swimmingly well.
I've got my beeves. They'll come in this, but I'm going to keep it.
There's nothing like a good 30 deep fight to put some hair on your chest.
It's people will fight about literally anything in 30. Some of the smallest suggestions I've ever seen came up and started a Royal Rumble. So I am really excited to see what like a legitimate large change might cause.
I've been working on my organizational management, Dan. We'll see if it can handle the fights that are going to occur. Because right now, I mean, this isn't just the final week. This is week 2 of 3 in the finals.
Yeah.
So the last week of silly season decides the tiebreaker for 30 deep, which in a way is almost kind of like, for that kind of a league, it kind of fits. Like to win that league, you got to have almost no injuries. And not during the playoffs at all.
Yeah, such has not been the case for our good buddy Benny Aziz, who is down Zach LaVine and someone else, right? Isn't he down 2 guys?
Yeah, it's Benny Aziz versus Stroop. And I'll tell you, Matt Stroop over at Roto World is one of the best and hilarious guy, by the way. One of the best fantasy players out there. So he's in it every year. And, he's just crushing them 8-1. So there will be no final. Matt Stroop, congratulations. I'm just going to give it to you right now. You're winning.
Man,
the 30 deep championship again.
Benny got boned. Poor Benny. No Cody.
Benny ran away with his division and then got smoked. By Matt Stroop.
Dwayne Dedman, Cody Zeller, Zach LaVine, all down for Benny's team as he hit the finals. That's a tough break, and that is the silly season. But yeah, from Roto. Roto Weekly, Brew, which is I know what you're doing. That's still kind of a tough one. Roto daily moves certainly helps here in the silly season because you can go out and you can pick up Jordan McRae right now. Or Brew, I have to admit, and this is gasp, an actual fantasy thing on today's show. I've got my eye on Charlotte. Don't they have to give up pretty soon and really let the young guys go for like 3 games?
I mean, they're not technically out of it.
I know, but
but for 2 games. Yeah, I think they. But here's the thing that's interesting about Charlotte is they're behind 4 teams, which increase. So in their spot, you always say, well, you got to hop for. It doesn't matter how many games you're back; it's how many teams you got to hop to get to where you're going. But in this case, they got to hop 1 team in the Heat currently, if I got that right.
Yes,
and then there's everybody else in the 6 through 8. But because there's so many teams that could theoretically go on a losing streak. That, I think, helps them, keeps them in. But, they're not going to make it. I think they probably play 1 more game hard. And then after that, I think it's up for grabs. But, I mean, Dwayne Bacon was the guy there that you wanted to, see get going. Miles Bridges as well. It just hasn't happened.
No, it hasn't. I'm still watching them, though. I've had my eye on Devontae Graham for a week in the event that Kemba finally just says, you know what, I'm going to take a game off. Because he's ready to go. That's their backup point guard, but he doesn't get to do anything because Kemba's still playing 36 minutes a night. It's
fair. And Kemba probably shouldn't play. I mean, there's nothing going there. But, weird narrative-driven stuff. Like, is he going to be a Hornet? Maybe he wants those last 3 games.
Yeah, that's a good point because he probably won't be a Hornet next year. We do have a question in the chat room. We have a couple of hellos, and I want to get through those also because a lot of you guys are the loyal ones here that join us on these live shows, so I want to give you some shout-outs. Giannis, he is our... Giannis, you've done a lot of stuff for us, actually. You've done a lot of tracking as well, so thank you for that over the years. Hey, guys, my leagues are over. I just wanted to tune in to thank you for the help and all the good content. Trophies just keep stacking. Brew, I know you love to stack.
Mm-hmm.
This season,
stack.
This season, 1st and 3rd finishes and some good monies thanks to Hoop Ball. What up, Giannis? Well done, good sir. Jim Collins says, good morning. Good morning, Jim. Andre says, good evening. There's our buddy out there in Eastern Europe. Thank you guys for another great season. You're the best in the business, and I hope to see Hoop Ball keep growing next season. Likewise, Andre, thanks for checking in all the time. I'm jumping over the question for Frank. Me and the Kangs don't talk no more. All 3 of my lineups ended in the top 10 in the Beat the Expert contest. So how about that? Josh Millman got 1st and 2nd, but Frank, me and the Kangs, 3 of the other top 8 spots. Brew, you got 1 of those. We basically knocked out all of them. Congratulations on your DFS run. Frank, if you're still listening here, I think you said you might talk to the Kangs at some point this year. Did they do enough to get you to that point? And then, Brew, question. We got a question today on the last live show of the year. That is a turning point. This is from Giraffe. Keeper League question. I am for sure keeping Nikola Jokic. That seems like a good decision. I have 2 more spots out of the following 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. It's 9 category. It's 14 teams. It sounds like there's no punishment here, meaning like you don't lose a particular round of your draft pick. It's probably just everybody loses their first 3 rounds. So, you start on pick, in this case, it'd be pick 43. So it's not like, hey, if you keep, a guy drafted in the 4th round, you lose your 2nd rounder or something like that. It's just first 3. So here's the names, Brew. You ready? You got your mental pen and paper?
I'm actually just impressed you did 14 times 3 really fast.
Oh, listen. Okay, I'm taking a break from this fantasy question to tell a story about my childhood. First of all, only child over here. So I have a lot of really dumb, unique abilities that people who had siblings don't have. Because I just sat around and played in front of a mirror. And one of them was, one day my mom took me to the mall and she was doing some shopping in, I think it's called the Discovery Store channel now. But when I was a kid this was the late 80s, it was something else. It was called the Imaginarium or something dumb like that. And they had a VHS playing on a little TV in the back, showing a video called Math Magics. Did you ever see that, Brew? I hope not.
No.
Yeah. And I'm
a nerd, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you want to go, this is Max.
I want to go real nerdy here.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep telling me this.
So this is like, you never go full Math Magics. I went full Math Magics in that store. I just sat in a little tiny kid's chair and watched it. And it was the guy teaching you how to do really fast multiplication, division, and squares, and that's the one that I still use as a parlor trick. So people are like, oh, what's 21 squared? And I can't do it while I'm doing a podcast, but he went through this whole technique of how to do that type of stuff in your head really fast, and for some reason, here we are, 2019, I still remember that. Okay, so I'm a giant nerd. Two of the following 6 guys you have to keep. Chris Paul, Mitchell Robinson. Oh, baby. I mean, yeah, I know. We're salivating over here.
Easy, Dan.
I'm sorry. Chris Paul, Mitchell Robinson. Oh, man. I can't help myself. Blake Griffin, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, and Marvin Bagley. I might be going with the first 2 of those guys. I know Chris Paul's super old and everything, but Mitchell Robinson is in for me.
I don't know if it's a playoff format or not. If it's a playoff format, it really does matter because, the odds are that Chris Paul's going to struggle in a playoff format.
That is true.
But even when that doesn't matter, I'm probably going to go Bagley.
And Mitchell Robinson?
Yeah, here's why. I think it's funny because there's so much about the Bagley-Doncic stuff in Sacramento.
Although we do kind of have to wait and see, do the Knicks bring in a center of any kind? Do they end up with Zion, stuff like that? Things that could impact these guys moving forward.
I don't think Zion plays center.
Yeah, it's true. They could throw him
the
anywhere.
NBA. And it's funny because Robinson's got some holes in his game, but his athleticism and length mix, it's very Gobert-like. I remember when we saw Gobert in Summer League, we were actually at Summer League, saw him, and I thought to myself, there's no way this guy's not going to be good. So we were all over that, and everybody won on that. Those are the Roto World days. Robinson has that same thing going for him. And I don't know if he wants to be that guy. Maybe he wants to be more of a multifaceted guy. But the blocks, they'll eventually come back to earth because he's block hunting out there. That's why these low-minute games where he gets 3 blocks, that's why that's happening. So he might get asked to rebound more. He might, get asked, hey, we need you to stay on the floor by not fouling out. But he's going to be a 3, possibly 4, maybe even 5.
Come on. What are you doing to me over here? I'm already having trouble. I can't say.
I just don't put it this way. I wouldn't bet on it being 5, but I just don't know. Like he's getting. Well, I don't know what the number is right now. Let's get the number out. But it's enough to where if he gets the full minutes, and he increases his blocks. You do improve in this league. As you get into the second and the third season. So it's going to be fun for him, and I think that they have a lot invested in him, and they want, or I'm sure organizationally to kind of turn the page on Kristaps Porzingis. So, what better to do that than with a similarly situated player that can just get out there and put up monster numbers. So I'm going to take him, and then with Bagley, there's evidence that his free throw shooting has improved. That's a big anchor to his value. He has the length to get blocks. He has the length to get steals. He has the mobility to get steals and blocks. His jumping ability is off the charts. He's going to get you rebounds. He's shooting too many threes right now, but it's kind of in preparation for the upcoming seasons. He could be a multi-category player. Assists are the thing that probably come in his second or third year. He's not a good passer right now. Tunnel vision and all that. But I think he's got top 20 written all over him.
And there you go. Frank, by the way, says definitely going to keep one eye on the Kings over the summer and see what improvements they made. So he's still mulling whether or not they're going to talk again.
They're hurt in Sacramento.
They're waiting on you, Frank. They're waiting on you. So I do have a question for you, Brew. It's not fantasy related, but we're coming up on playoff time. I've got some futures in front of me now. The numbers have changed this week. Shall we do a quick rehash here before we wrap things up on our last live show?
I haven't even looked at my over-unders. I love this time of year because I get to go to Reno.
Yeah, there you go. Brew's going.
Or I get to call my bookie. I don't know who that might be, but I get to call them.
Yeah, you got Joey on the corner. He's going to take your bet. Yeah, Joey's waiting for your call, Brew.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
This reminds me of all my time, man, when doing that podcast over at Pregame, and all the guys that talk like this about their bets they're placing. Lots of that. Lots of that. Odds
Why
to
is
win.
that? Why is that, Dan? Why do they talk like that?
I don't know, Brew.
Is it like because you want to get your basketball advice from somebody who sounds
that's
like
how
they
you
grew up in Jersey?
Yeah, that's what you gotta listen to. You need the guy with the voice that's like this. He's telling you gotta lay the 6 points tonight. Odds to win the Western Conference as of April 1st. So earlier this week. They've been updated once a week. The Warriors, not surprisingly, are a bet 3 to win 1. So they are technically underdogs at this point. Or not underdogs. They are technically favorites, like negative money favorites to win the Western Conference. It's a terrible wager.
Yeah.
Rockets are 4 to 1. Nuggets are 18 to 1. Jazz 20. Thunder 30. Blazers 75. Both the Spurs and the Clippers are 100 to 1 to win the Western Conference. I like betting on someone besides the Warriors to win the West because as it stands right now, the Warriors would have the Spurs in the first round, which is a relatively easy get for them. But the Thunder are plummeting, and I think the Thunder would be kind of a tough matchup. And if things ended right now, they could potentially have the Blazers or the Jazz in the second round, and or Rockets or Nuggets, someone like that in the third. Like something can go wrong for a Warriors team. What if Steph gets hurt? We know they're not the same team without him. So if you're placing a wager, I guess, on someone else, you're placing it on Steph Curry being hurt. Or, I don't know, Brew, do you think someone could knock him off?
It's all about the Rockets, I think. They're they have the experience after the way they lost to the Warriors they got that sort of like grizzled, that comeback story that, it's very narrative-y. But it's actually in the NBA, we've seen it a lot. A team that's taken twice to, beat a team and finally it gets over the hump that third time. There's, from just a pure X's and O's standpoint, they've got the talent and the system and the strategy to beat the Warriors. The last time the Warriors couldn't self-regulate, they couldn't tell KD that, hey, dude, you're not it. Like, this is not your, and it's gonna get worse when you factor most people in the league think he won't be with the Warriors next year.
Right. Yeah.
So if he's the guy that's holding them back, like, what's that going to look like in the locker room? And DeMarcus Cousins as well. Like, Cousins has kind of kept under the radar. So
you mean future Laker DeMarcus Cousins?
Yeah, knock yourself out there.
I'm not thrilled about it, but I feel like that's where this is all going.
The Lakers are their own just hilarious podcast. But a smart team is going to go at DeMarcus Cousins every single time in the pick and roll or even in isolation. He can't cover at all. So what happens if you do the switching that you did last year and you force the Warriors into isolation with Kevin Durant while you take away Steph and you take away Clay? Dre doesn't want to shoot anymore. And, so you're kind of just like looking at this, the strategy side, it's very possible. So, I mean, I don't like 4-1. I do think the Warriors basically just have to not screw up to win this. But when you start looking at the things they can screw up, and if you're talking about a Steph injury that's sort of out of their control, but it's, happened in the past, I'll take the Rockets at 4-1. That is going to be a fascinating series. And I do think that right now, as things stand, you do have just sort of a lot of, I mean, it's kind of predictable. You got the Warriors and the Spurs. They're going to advance. You got the Nuggets and the Thunder. I think that's going to be a series that the Thunder, could possibly win. But then you got the Rockets at 3. And if they fall to 4, because Portland's really trying to win games right now, knowing that they don't have Yusuf Nurkic, Houston's been going pretty heavy for the last week or two.
Mm-hmm.
They could run out of gas. This at a 1-4 might actually benefit the Rockets because the longer they play, the more likely Chris Paul gets hurt.
It's very true. It's what tanked him last year. Any of the crazy long shots that you'd throw $5 on, for me, it would be the Thunder.
Yeah, it's the Thunder
and
nobody else.
Yeah. Yeah, agree completely. Eastern Conference. To win the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee Bucks are the favorites at 9-5, so just short of 2-1. Raptors are 2.5. Philly 3, Boston 4, and then this is fun. After Boston at 4-1, it drops all the way to Detroit and Indiana at 100-1. So you probably don't want to bet the 5 seed or deeper because the world saith that they cannot do it, and the world is likely righteth on this one. Bucks, Raptors, Sixers, Celtics.
Does anybody want 100-1?
To get all the way through to the finals, I doubt it. I'd be pretty surprised. I would think the We Believe Warriors would be the closest, right?
Which I had, by the way, and for good money.
And then Kirilenko destroyed them, and the whole thing
doesn't matter. I didn't bet that series.
Okay. Yeah, the Warriors were a great matchup for Dallas that year. That was a fun one. Bucks, Raptors, Sixers, Celtics. Who's coming out of the East, Brew? This is a real tough one.
I would love to throw like $5 on the Pacers. I think that they've been the beautiful thing about the playoffs is there's like so much like ebb and flow to how teams look going in. The Pacers have been really bad lately, and these things happen in cycles. So they could, like with Houston, one of the things I'm worried about is that they've been playing so well for so long. Can they keep it up? Indy's got good players that nobody knows about. That's why they're 100-1. They should probably be 50-1 or 30-1 in that range. Because the East, let's be real. Milwaukee, it's not like they've been there, done that. They're great. I probably actually have Toronto over them. But Indy is not like 100-1 behind those guys. So I would throw $5 on Indy, just so I could collect 500 in the event something crazy happens. I'm not going to do Philly. I don't think they're ready. Boston's intriguing because they've been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'd take Milwaukee at that rate.
Yeah, not a good price. I do think Milwaukee comes out of the East, but that's not a great price for it. I think if you got to go any direction,
you don't like them over Toronto?
I think Milwaukee beats the Raptors. Mostly, I like the way they're built, and defensively they're outstanding. There's something about the Raptors that gives me pause, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I do think that their odds are better at 2-1 or 2.5-1 than Milwaukee at less than 2-1. I think I'm with you. I think I'd go long shot or nothing out East, and then probably bet individual series.
I think I'm gonna lean into that Toronto bet.
All right, I've been rooting for them for the last half
what's
decade.
Boston at again?
Boston's at 4-1.
Yeah, I'd probably hedge a little bit with some Boston too.
So I might be getting into the individual series on these. This is where I think you can probably kind of begin to do a little bit of hedging. Celtics and Pacers have to play each other in the first round. So one of the two, the small underdog and then the very large underdog that you liked, one of them is going to be gone after the first round. So it might not be a bad idea to sort of position yourself accordingly. The other teams, Sixers, Raptors, Bucks, they all have relatively easy, seemingly, first-round matchups coming up. I know nothing is set in stone, but, let's be honest here. Something horrible would have to happen for the Pistons, Nets, or Magic right now, the teams that are in, to beat any one of those other clubs. So we shall see. Brew, of course, as we find the actual matchups, I think you and I will probably have to get back on a show and do individual series, won't we?
Yeah, maybe even before next week, because I got a drive I got to make.
Yeah,
I got to call my bookie.
We're doing this one live from Brew's car on the drive up 80. Is that 80 that takes you up over the hill?
It just depends on which one you want to go to. If you want to go to Reno, it's a little bit more of a business trip. You just go and get it over with. You go to Tahoe, you might stick around and do something.
Yeah, have a little fun. Brew, last live show of the year in the books. Boss man, El Arquitecto. It's been an unbelievable pleasure. Let's put this one in the win column, shall we?
Indeed, Dan. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your guys in the AV department. And thank you to all of the listeners who, by the way, you guys don't know how much you guys power the Hoob with your thoughts, your well wishes, your congrats, all of that stuff. Please don't send it my way. Send it to the team. They're the guys that are, really, really on the ground getting this stuff done. So thank you to everybody.
Yep. That's the best way to end it, I think. For Brew, I am Dan. This is the last live show of 2018-2019 NBA campaign. Thanks to everybody for tuning in all season long. We will, of course, continue to have our recorded podcasts all through the off season. Fear not. Just not the live shows. So we're not going anywhere. You just have to catch us through the traditional podcast channels. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeart, whatever.
Hoopball Radio app.
Hoopball Radio app. There's a billion different ways you can find this thing. Or you can just use the player, right, at hoop-ball.com. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Back on Monday, we'll do our last reverse chronological lightning round, get you set up for the silliest of the silly season days, and wrap up the season over the next 3 shows. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the madness. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.